Oh, hello. Um, Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Not quite sure where you are. Going to do another live stream. I've done a couple the last couple of days. I've panicked at a certain point and pulled the plug midway through, and I might do that again. I'm not going to hold it against myself if I do. So, what I've got planned is to go through approximately 10 articles, maybe a couple more likely a couple less of crime topics that have occurred, situations that have occurred over the last day or two, primarily, where there's updates in regards to certain crimes. Um, so we're going to go through those. I haven't prepared everything thoroughly as ideally I would like. So some of them we're just going to skip through, but we're going to go over that, and we'll see how we go, and we'll see if we start cultivating a decent enough what am I talking about? A decent enough live stream approach. All right, just did a audio check there. Alrighty, so we'll go through the first topic. This topic here. So I'm going to read through most of the article, I believe. Children age 3, 11 years of age, and 13 years of age are among 14 people that have been shot during a bloody Halloween night drive-by shooting in Chicago's west side. So essentially, what we know is that there was a drive-by shooting. At least 14 people were shot. Seemingly, there were two shooters, believed to be at least two shooters, fired indiscriminately from a vehicle into a group of people that were gathered at a street corner. The street corner that they were gathered at is in the city's Garfield Park neighborhood. And apparently, it's an area where people throughout the day, throughout the evening, gather, to gather friends, neighbors, whomever it happens to be, gather to have a good old chit chat. It's like a public square type of area, seemingly. And some scumbags decided to drive past with at least two shooters, is what is believed currently, firing indiscriminately at the crowd that had gathered in this area on the street corner for no particular reason. There's no known motive. Children were shot. At least 14 people were shot, but that includes three children aged 3, 11, and 13. Now, the article doesn't tell us of any fatalities. It tells us that the victims were rushed to several local hospitals, and their conditions range from non-life threatening injuries to critical conditions. So we are told that at least one of the shooting victims is in critical condition. But I guess a blessing is that there's no fatalities, or at least at this point, there's no fatalities from this mindless, senseless, absolutely crazy shooting. Mark Klein, we're talking about your hometown. Shooting in the Garfield Park neighborhood, Chicago's west side. There was apparently some kind of vigil was going on. So it is believed that there could be some like retaliation going on, some gang banging going on. But it's just mindless and senseless. And I mentioned kind of sarcastically there, Mark Klein is from Illinois. I think he is happy to make that public. So this is another reason to get out, Mark. You got other reasons to get out in Chicago as of January the 1st, I believe it is, in Illinois. They're going to be releasing people without a bond. If they're arrested on certain charges, they're going to get released with no bond. And that includes some types of murder, like second-degree murder, all kinds of assault. Your police officers have been instructed not to chase after criminals on foot. So yep, I'm sure Laurie Lightfoot knows exactly what she's doing. Being a little bit sarcastic once more. Laurie Lightfoot doesn't know what she's doing, and Chicago is an absolute mess, seemingly. So that's the information that we have. At least two shooters doing a drive-by shooting in Chicago's West, shooting 14 people, including children. One victim, at least, is in critical condition. It's just crazy, and let's hope that it does improve. Mark says that he's from Indiana, but very close to Shirakistan, I believe it's called, and he's worked in Shirakistan for several years. Good. But you're retired now, Mark, aren't you? I think you finally adopted the golf course as your new home. I think that's the case. So we're going to move on to this next article, and it's too similar to what we've just read about in Chicago. This happened in Brixton. Brixton is a suburb in London, and this incident happened on Sunday. Brixton's got a reputation. I'm going to say, like, demographically, it's a primarily black area, or traditionally it was. And there's always been, as far as I understand, there's been drug issues for decades in Brixton. Brixton's, I'm going to say, always been known as a troubled area in regards to crime. You would not want to walk down a dark alley in the middle of the night in Brixton, that's for sure. And a shooting has occurred in Brixton, and two people have died. One of them, a Deliveroo scooter driver, a delivery guy on a scooter, um, and he was minding his own business. He was delivering his last takeaway delivery for the evening. The guy's from Brazil. His name is Guilherme Messias de Silva. Guilherme Messias de Silva, 21 years of age, and he was hit by a car. His bike was hit by a car that was being chased by the gunman's vehicle. So there was a car chase, seemingly the car being chased. So what one car was chasing, and I believe shooting at, or they were chasing down this other vehicle. This other vehicle crashed, I believe, crashed into this Deliveroo rider, Guilherme Messias de Silva, and he died. He was minding his own business, working for a few dollars, a few pounds, doing deliveries, and he was doing the last delivery of the night, and he's killed. I mean, it's so shameful and disgusting. 21 years of age, from Brazil, came over to England, United Kingdom, a so-called first world country, to better himself, hopefully to get a little bit of money, perhaps to send back to his poor family in Brazil. I'm kind of guessing there. But in this first world country, England, the same kind of thing that's happening in Chicago. There's shootings. This happened in Brixton. Now, one of the reasons why I'm going over this article is that a second person died. He was in the vehicle that was being chased, and he ran out of the vehicle. So I believe the vehicle crashed, and then this other guy ran out of the vehicle, and he was shot down by the gunman. So I believe, I'm kind of guessing, that the gunman or gunmen also got out of their vehicle, chased after this other person. His name is Perm. That's his rap name, Perm. He's a rapper, a drill artist, a UK drill rap artist. And he was shot and he was killed. And so he apparently is an aspiring rapper. He's had some success, not a great deal of success, but some level of success. Here he is in the picture on the left here. This is the rapper Perm. And his father is quite well known. The father's name is Dean White, and I watch this guy a lot on TV. I follow boxing. I've followed boxing for the last 2 or 3 years or so, and Dean White is a very well known figure within boxing. He comes from Brixton, and he's very close friends with a championship contender, Dillian White. They're not brothers. I thought they were, but apparently they're not brothers. But they're very, very close friends. They both came from Brixton. They grew up together, I believe. And Dean White's in a lot of interviews. IFL TV interview Dean White regularly. And I just saw a video of his yesterday or perhaps the day before. And he's talking about life. He's talking about how he's got to a really good place in his life, that he's being successful. He's persisted with his current business venture, which is boxing promoting. He has his own business doing that. And he's been, gone through some hard times with that, but he's got to a place where it's successful. And he's a nice guy. He was giving some life advice. He supports the young fighters in the local areas, and part of the reason that he and others support the young fighters is to get them out of a life of crime. So that's part of the reason why I'm going over this article, is because I've watched several dozen interviews with this guy, and tragically his son is the one that was presumably the target of the car chase. He was chased after he got out of the vehicle. He was gunned down, killed on site in Brixton. This happened on Sunday. And, it's a tragedy. So 2 people died. This guy, seemingly the target, rapper Perm is his name. And then also a 21-year-old Brazilian delivery driver that drove a scooter. Such a shame. Here's an image of the delivery driver's scooter, completely wrecked. So it looks like there's been a head-on collision, or maybe he's rear-ended into the other vehicle. I'm not entirely sure, but this vehicle is wrecked. This is the one where the rapper got out of. So this car was in a car chase, and obviously it's crashed. Presumably into the bike. So presumably into the head-on smash into the bike. The bike's gone further and crashed into another vehicle. So it's just a terrible shame. And again, here's an image of the deceased rapper Perm. And I'm going to say something, a little bit untoward, perhaps. I don't know anything about this guy, this rapper Perm. So apparently he is getting some traction in the music industry in the UK to some level. He's not had any hits or anything like that, but he's gaining some level of success. He's blinged up. He's got an Yves Laurent handbag. He's got an iced up watch. He's got some jewelry. He's playing the part. He's got a blunt in his hands. His friends have got Dolce & Gabbana belts and all of this. He's playing the part of a gangster. He's performing drill music, UK drill music, which is all drill music from Chicago, is all gang orientated. Dean White in his interviews, and I believe even Dillian White in interviews, they both, or certainly Dean White, indicates that he's had a troubled past, a criminal past. He kind of hints at it. He doesn't go explicit, but he hints that he, was involved in gangs and such. So to me, as unfair as it is to cast aspersions on the deceased, that's exactly what I'm about to do. It seems to me that this guy was certainly playing the part of a gangster, acting. Certainly, at the very least, he was acting the part of a gangster in his music, and I'm guessing I've not listened to his music. And I would think that, given the rarity of this kind of case, this kind of situation occurring in London, where there's a car chase and a shooting, that doesn't happen that often. Sure, it happens in Chicago all the time, constantly. but it doesn't happen that often in London, thankfully, as far as I know. So I've got to think that this guy has been targeted because he's mixing with criminal elements. That's the only rationale that I can have. But in any case, that's really all the information that I want to go through on this case. It is sad, and full condolences to the family concerned. I'm going to say particularly the father, Dean White. Again, I feel, in some silly way, I feel connected to him just on the basis that I've listened to this guy so many times, like in interviews. He's a nice guy, and he's come out of Brixton. He grew up with nothing, dead broke, on the streets, and he's made something out of himself, and he's got to an excellent place in his life. And unfortunately, that will not happen for his son, whose life has been taken. And I believe this is the other victim, the delivery driver, Guilherme Messias de Silva. And of course, full condolences to his family in Brazil. It's terrible. He's a complete innocent. There's a few comments within the article of colleagues praising him and just pointing out the irony of coming from Brazil, where there's huge crime, and then dying at the hands of crime in London, a so-called first world nation. Anyhow, so there we go. I'm going to move on to the next article, but of course we've got to mention Mark Klein. He's only here to get his ego rubbed every now and then. I went from working in Chicago to Gary, Indiana. He's now retired, and you can find him 7 days a week on the golf club or in the golf bar. So I'm just going to touch through this one. Because it's also in regards to boxing. So the last article, one of the victims is a rapper, but his father is a boxing promoter. So I thought it was appropriate to go over this article here. A heavyweight boxer from Montenegro, whose name is Goran Gogic, who I think I've heard this guy's name. Goran Gogic, 43 years of age. He's been arrested on Sunday, and he's been charged with trafficking 22 tons of cocaine. 22 tons of cocaine worth over $1 billion. Wow, that's crazy, man. And that is, it says here, the largest seizure in American history from a boxer, Goran Gogic. Quite sure I've heard this guy's name, as I say. So we'll have a look at the details. A former heavyweight boxer from Montenegro is charged with trafficking 22 tons of cocaine worth over $1 billion in one of the largest seizures of the drug in American history. Goran Gogic, 43 years of age, was arrested on Sunday night and charged with the Department of Justice. He was detained whilst trying to board a flight to Zurich from Miami International Airport after being indicted by a grand jury in New York. Prosecutors charged Gogic with 3 counts of violating the Federal Maritime Drug Law Enforcement Act and 1 count of conspiracy. Each count carries a mandatory minimum 10-year prison term and possible life sentence. So if he's found guilty, he's looking at 40 years in jail and even a life sentence. So there we go. Fucking hell, what's going on in the boxing world? In America, Miami, this guy, Goran Gogic from Montenegro, has been arrested and charged in relation to importing 22 tons of cocaine. That is absolutely insane. And in England, there's a boxing connection, seemingly potentially a gang connection. So what's going on in boxing, man? You guys need to clean things up. Maybe I'm being a little bit unfair in that regard. 22 tons, yikes. Yeah, that will see you out for a weekend or two, wouldn't it? Let's move on to the next article. I've not gone through this. I've just seen the headline so far. Human remains have been found in a skip at a waste recycling plant in Leeds, West Yorkshire, England. So a waste recycling plant. Human remains have been found. Workers found the body. They discovered the corpse, and it seems to be early days in regards to the investigation. It's a crime scene. Officers are obviously trying to do their best to identify who the body is. I mean, I don't really know what words to use there. Who the body belongs to, is that the right term? I don't quite think it is, but they need to identify, the forensic experts need to do their best to try to identify who the body belongs to. And of course, the investigators need to figure out how the heck it ended up in a recycling plant. Who dumped the body? So we have seen this kind of thing before. You know, there's currently the Quinton Simon case going on. I believe that's Ohio. I might have that part wrong, but Quinton Simon. I've not followed that case very closely as yet. I probably will try to get up to speed in regards to the Quinton Simon case. But the young boy, very young, is he 4 years old, or maybe he's younger, maybe 2 years old? And it's believed that he has been dumped in a land waste, dumped into a particular dump truck, which would have deposited of his corpse. The corpse for Quinton Simon hasn't been found yet. So yeah, unfortunately, this kind of situation seemingly does happen. I've read through another article previously, about 6 months ago or so, where another England recycling plant found another body. I believe the body of a baby, a discarded baby, if I recall. So tragically, this is something that happens, and it must be absolutely shocking for the workers at the site. There they are, going to work in a waste recycling plant. This isn't a particularly well-to-do job to have, is it, Mark? I mean, it's going to be, pretty hard yakka, pretty dirty work, as it were. Hard work for sure. And these poor men, these poor women, come across a dead body. I mean, I hope they get the support, the psychological support that they need. Therapy. It's like with tow truck drivers. If you're a police officer or a fireman or probably an ambulance driver or whatever the term is, I forget, EMT. Typically, the state will give you as much therapy, psychological assistance as you need, training as well as therapy. But certain jobs like this, I can imagine working in a waste recycling plant, that's not going to be given to you in all likelihood. If you're a tow truck driver and every day you've got to pick up crash cars and you have to deal with families being devastated due to car crashes, you don't get any therapy for that. You got to deal with it yourself. So yeah, thoughts, condolences to all these guys, and let's hope that they do find who the body belongs to. Mark asks, I wonder how many bodies are in dumps. Yeah, quite a few. And also, Mark, over the last year since I've started this channel, I've seen probably, I'm going to say at least half a dozen, and that might be a massive understatement, of cases where people have been dumped in bins in the backyard, backyard bins, household residential bins, bodies of children, bodies of adults. I don't know. It's just... Whee! All right. So I'm doing this live stream, but Mark, to be honest with you, some of the topics, I mean, they really do bring you down, don't they? Here we are trying to just go through these, but it gets pretty depressing pretty quickly. But we're gonna carry on. I'm gonna carry on, at least, and I'm sure you'll be by my side, Mark. So this is touching on the Delphi murders, which is not a case that I followed overly closely, but it happened in February the 13th, 2017. Two young girls were killed Libby German, 14 years of age, Abigail Williams, 13 years of age. They met with a stranger. Why, I don't know, but they met with a stranger in an abandoned train carriage on an abandoned train track. Yeah, prayers for Quentin. That's right, Mark. And this happened in Delphi, Indiana. So would that be close to you? That well, yeah, you're in Indiana, so you must be familiar with the Delphi murders. And they've announced there's been a press conference yesterday, Monday, and the authorities have announced that they have arrested and charged the person that you see in front of you, Richard Allen, 50 years of age. He's been charged with 2 counts of felony murder. He's a local. He's from the local area, I believe. Mark's very close, 1.5 hours. That's not far. That's not that far at all, really, from that bridge. So Mark's very familiar with this case. He's a local. I saw something, Mark, saying that he works at the local pharmacy, or a pharmacy in the area, and that even the family went to that pharmacy to print out some pictures of the funeral, something along those lines. And he served the parents of one of the victims, and he gave them the photos for free. That's what I read, something along those lines. And there's been a lot of suspicion about this guy. Apparently, there's been internet posts dating back at least a couple of years saying that this guy is guilty, and he's been arrested. He's been charged, and let's hope that the police are able to get enough evidence to build a strong prosecutory case to ensure that this guy gets a conviction, presuming he is guilty. But I will mention that here are the victims: Abigail Williams on the left and Liberty German on the right. But I will mention that 2 men were previously arrested, and both were released at a certain point. I don't know how long they were detained for, how long the previous 2 that were arrested, I don't know how long they were in custody. But I think that's a relevant point. I mean, obviously, we hope that the police have the right man. We hope that is the case, of course, but seemingly they've arrested 2 other people previously that they since decided weren't the guilty party. So we'll look through some of the article. It remains unclear what led police to ultimately arrest Richard Allen, as the state police will not be releasing evidence in the case under a court order. So we're not really given too much information, as far as I understand, from this press conference. I've not watched the press conference. You will be able to find it. It goes on for 50 minutes. But it is assuring the public that they have arrested somebody, and they're telling the public who that person is. And I believe that's a sign of confidence. I'm kind of guessing, but I believe generally the police won't hold a press conference and make public the details of the suspect unless they feel that they really do have a strong case against them. Mark says, I would like to know how they discovered him, and how didn't the wife know it was her husband? Yeah. So we're not told that at this point, but of course there has been that video which was released. I don't know if it's within this article. There is his wife. But yeah, there is a video, with this little clip here where he's walking along the bridge. And apparently the police have got more footage of the suspect, which they never released. They only released like a 2-second video clip or such. Yeah. How did the wife not know? Don't know. That's a really good question, really. I mean, it's kind of worrying, isn't it? Just reminds us that these murderers, for the most part, they're normal people. I mean, they present themselves as normal people. They go to work. They got kids. They live a normal life for the most part. But seemingly some very untoward things go on in their heads, and seemingly they act out at several points. Here's a picture. The photo shows Richard Allen smiling with his wife, whilst over his shoulder a police sketch strongly resembling him is posted on the wall. So yeah, I believe he remained in the local area and worked in a pharmacy. So, he's a known character in the area, I believe. The article says that the murderer staged the girls' bodies in a particular way after killing them, although it remains unclear exactly how he did this. Investigators also believed photographs or videos were likely shot of the grotesque setup to memorialize the crime scene. I've heard of that kind of thing before. It's all planned out. It's all very, very sick and psychotic. So it sounds like, if I'm understanding this correctly, it sounds like the police have quite a lot of evidence and have had for quite some time. They've got this video here, and they're referring to other photos and other videos of the crime scene. They're saying that it's likely that they believe there was videos and photographs taken. Does that mean that they have videos and photographs? I don't know. It just seems like the police didn't release a lot of information in regards to this case that they could have. And I don't quite know why that is, but hopefully that strategy works out for them and they are able to get justice. So this is a second article on the same subject. Just gives us a little bit more of a timeline, as it were. But I'm not going to go through it all, I don't think. So yeah, Alan lived near the crime scene. He lived around 5 miles away from the Modern High Bridge, close to where the girls were found dead. He's lived in Delphi since at least 2006. He has a wife and a daughter. His daughter has taken a school photo on that same bridge. It's creepy. Yeah, here it is. He was arrested at the local pharmacy in Delphi. He worked as a pharmacy technician. Crazy. So yeah, prayers that everything gets figured out. That he's convicted if he is guilty. One of the girls, likely sensing danger, recorded the man's voice on her cell phone. She also managed to take a photo and record a small clip of the suspect. Although his face isn't clear in the picture, it was enough to give authorities a general description. Oh, that's terrible. I mean, yeah. Terrible. All right. So, Mark, I believe you're still with me. Thanks for sticking around. Um, I'm trying to do these live streams, Mark, and I want to figure out how they go. Like, I think it would be good if they work, right? I don't know if they are working because I'm only getting a couple of viewers, but that's okay. These things take time to build, don't they? And my channel's going pretty well. I've got like 1,270 odd subscribers, but mostly from posting standalone videos. So I'm hoping to find the time just to carry on and do live streams and also do standalone videos. But yeah, I'm just playing around with it, see how we go. It's kind of my thoughts. That's kind of my thoughts there, Mark. Don't know if you want to chime in on that. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this one. We're just going to go through this one pretty quickly. I made a video in regards to this topic at the time back in May. It's in relation to an 8-month-old girl that suffered a medical episode at a day nursery in Manchester, England. The Tiny Toes Day Nursery, rather. An 8-month-old girl suffered a medical episode, and she subsequently died that same day. Immediately that day or the next day, 2 female members of staff were arrested on suspicion of gross negligence. And this article is telling us that now a third person has also been arrested on suspicion of child neglect, although that person has been bailed. So it's just giving us a bit of an update in regards to this case here, which I did cover back in 9. An 8-month-old girl died later in the day following a medical episode at a day nursery in England. Terrible. I've seen so many articles of tragedies in nurseries, legal nurseries and illegal ones. Yeah, thanks. Maybe come on later in the day. It's 7:26. Yeah, that's right, actually. Yeah, it's 11:30 my time. So yeah, the time's completely not very good. Although it's good for anyone in Australia, and it's good for people in the UK, in Europe. So yeah. So I think I might just carry on for a little bit with these very bad hours for the United States, because that way it probably takes the pressure off me anyway. I don't know, but many true crime channel watchers from noon to 9 p.m. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I might be able to do it earlier, so I think maybe I'll get a few more under my belt, um, and then I don't know, we'll see how we go. Yeah, don't know. I mean, I do get a lot of views on some of my standalone videos, and I get a lot of compliments. People appreciate the topics, and particularly those that are not covered by the mainstream media. A lot of these tragedies just get overlooked. There are certain cases which get a lot of media, like Quinton Simon. Rightfully so, understandably so. But there are others which are, equally troubling that, may have an article or two made about them, but, largely they pass you by. Mark says, I like your channel, thumbs up. Yes, of course. Mark, are you even a moderator? Let's just double check. You're not even a moderator, mate. Can change that. There we go. All right. So you're retired, Mark. So what are you doing with your time other than playing golf and drinking beer? What are you doing with your time? You know what? You can type that, and I'm going to read through this one, and it's going to be a really, really sad one. It's going to bring me down. It's going to bring me down. It's going to bring you down too. A 24-year-old father in California and his 22-year-old girlfriend are behind bars for allegedly torturing and killing the man's 4-year-old daughter. And here is the 4-year-old daughter, Jasmine. The two scumbags, Isaiah Wanye Rumpf and Charity Staffieri, were taken into custody on Wednesday, and they were charged with 1 count each of murder, torture, and assault on a child, resulting in great bodily harm or death. Deputies from the Apple Valley Station, and this happened in California, Apple Valley Station, at approximately 9:35 p.m. October the 25th, responded to a 911 call regarding an unresponsive child at a residence. Upon arriving at the scene, first responders discovered the injured little girl. They transported her to a local hospital. Despite the medical staff attempting life-saving measures on the victim, the 4-year-old girl, tragically, she was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the facility. Due to the child's conditions, investigators said, hang on. Homicide units responded to the scene and took over the case. An investigator from the coroner's office responded to the hospital and has examined the child's body. The investigator has determined that the child had sustained numerous injuries indicative of child abuse. Homicide detectives interviewed both the child's father and the girlfriend, and they've both been arrested for causing 4-year-old Jasmine's death. Okay, we're told that they are both facing charges of murder and torture, and they have $1 million bonds each. So I applaud that. California, well done. I very much applaud these very high bonds, which I presume are unachievable. And that just ensures that the suspects are held. They don't get released. They'll still have their opportunity to go to trial. They'll still be given a lawyer, paid for by the taxpayer if needs be. They'll still have their day in court, their weeks in court, but it just allows for potential child murderers not to be on the streets. So I very much applaud that. There is a GoFundMe to help the mother, the biological mother, raise funds. A very modest goal, $5,000. So if that is something that anyone's in a position to contribute to, then perhaps that's a GoFundMe that's worth your consideration to help the mother have enough money to, fund a funeral for Jasmine, seemingly tortured and murdered at the hands of her father, her biological father, and the father's girlfriend. Pair of evil, psychopathic sickos. So, of course, full condolences to the family. I'm not in a position to click that donate button. If I was in a position to, then I'm sure I would. But yeah, no pressure. But if that's something that any of the viewers here after the fact are happy to consider, let's go back to Mark. Let's give Mark some attention. Mark likes some attention. All right. So Mark Klein, thanks, Picker. Yes, that's my name, Picker. Golf, beer, and housework. I'm lifting weights also. Yeah, you do. You strike me as like a pretty physical guy, Mark. Like pretty buff. Because you were working in a steel plant, weren't you? I'm interested in steel plants. I want to know why steel isn't dirt cheap. Why don't we have steel houses? That's what I really want to know. When are we going to have steel houses? Because if steel was really cheap, right? then why don't we just have steel houses? I don't get it. Like, just like knock up a house. Like, you deliver like Lego, right? A truck comes and it delivers 100 pieces of steel, and you just connect it together. You don't need to weld it together. Just do a few nuts and bolts, and then you got a house, like, and just build it in a day. And how much would that steel cost? It shouldn't be that expensive because they've been making steel for a while now. Am I right, Mark? When are they going to have steel houses? Come on. This is a terrible case. So I'm going to read through the majority of this. Here is the victim. Her name is Jupiter Paulson, 14 years of age, stabbed and then strangled by this sick, psychopathic piece of shit. His name, Arthur Prince Colley, 23 years of age. This incident happened when she was on her way to work. I think that's right. She left home at around 6:30. She was skateboarding from her father's house to her mother's house. This happened June the 4th, 2021. And okay, she was just going home from one house to another, skating. She's a skater. And this fucking evil piece of shit subjected her to a 30-minute attack, stabbed her, strangled her, killed her. This happened in Fargo, North Dakota, June the 4th, 2021. He's been given life in prison with no opportunity for parole. Good. So I applaud North Dakota for that. That is the right sentence. Personally, I would go for the death penalty. But failing that, life in jail. And yeah, life should mean life. Life should not mean, oh, you get out after 10 years, 20 years. No, that's not what life should mean. This scumbag subjected this 14-year-old innocent girl to a 30-minute attack, stabbed her, and strangled and killed her. So he went through a trial in September of this year, a couple of months back, and he was found guilty. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours, and that gave some level of comfort to Jupiter's mother, her mother being Antonia Johnson. So a quote from the mother: "We got him and it's over. Rest. Just know that justice was served. Justice for Jupiter." So I'm so glad that the mother is able to find comfort from that, some rest, as she says. I mean, God, you can just feel like the stress evaporating from her. Rest, the release of somewhat release, not complete release, but somewhat of a release. Some small victory that so-called justice has been achieved. I mean, I'm kind of downplaying the justice, and perhaps I'm being an arsehole for doing that. I mean, I get it. To me, like, the justice, it's not enough. There's no justification in the justice, if I'm using decent words. It does not make up for the loss of Jupiter. It does not make up for the suffering that she faced and that her family and friends and loved ones have faced since and will continue to face. It's not actual justice. It's not full justice, but it's all that the family can possibly get, isn't it? I mean, it's as much as I can downplay this justice, that's the only thing that the family can hope for. It's something. So I guess that's why people cherish this justice so much. I don't know. I'm kind of waffling. Well, I am waffling. Jupiter, the 14-year-old girl, was murdered as she was skateboarding from her father's house to her mother's house on the morning of June the 4th, 2021. At the time of her death, her parents said the trip had been made by Jupiter numerous times before without incident. The attack occurred around 6:30 a.m. and lasted until around 7 a.m. A sanitation worker found the scumbag kneeling over Jupiter. Jupiter was stabbed 25 times. She was strangled. She was stomped on. The cause of death was ruled to be homicide by manual strangulation. This perhaps adds to the tragedy a little bit. The girl, Jupiter, did not die at the scene. She succumbed to her wounds days later in a nearby hospital. Seemingly, the motive was theft. It says here, the defendant murdered her in cold blood for the contents in her backpack. So if I'm understanding that correctly, this was theft. She had a backpack. Who knows what was in it? She's a 14-year-old girl. I mean, she's not going to have anything overly valuable in her backpack, I would imagine. She was killed. And the scumbag stayed on the scene. It was a 30-minute attack. 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. So not quite broad daylight, but I mean, pretty much broad daylight, really. Fargo, North Dakota. The father, Robert Paulson, mentioned that she'd recently started a job at Arby's, the diner, and she was supposed to get paid for the first time on that day. She was going to take her sister out on a date. You know, take her sister out to treat her to a meal. Fucking sick. I think the father says the scumbag took a beautiful girl out of this world. He deserves to pay with his life. But seeing as we don't have the death penalty here, life without parole, I believe, is just. So that's a quote from a juror, I believe. Okay, so the scumbag has consistently maintained his innocence. But that's obviously complete bullshit. He was found on the scene, standing over or kneeling over Jupiter Paulson, having been stabbed 25 times, stomped on, and strangled. Oy. I'm going to move on to that, and then the next one's going to be even worse. Donna, thank you, Donna. Hi, guys. Sorry I'm late. Well, that's okay, Donna. Just don't let it happen again. Donna also says WTAF. Mark, what does that mean? 11:40 p.m. here. Oh, you're in Australia, like my good self. Yeah, so I'm in Australia. I'm in Sydney, Donna. I'm in Sydney. No Australian. There is an Australian topic I might go through in a moment. I might go through. You know what? Hang on. Where's I've got an article which is missing. Where is this article? All right. Let's see if I can find this article that we can go through. Okay. I don't know why this is missing, but where is it? Where did it come up? There we go. What the actual F $_K? Donna's from the Gong. The Gong, Wollongong, nice, very nice area. Wollongong. Well, as a tourist, you know, it's a nice place to go for the day, isn't it? Don't know about staying there, but it does look like a nice place. Did I just insult your hometown? So we'll go through this update here. It's in regards to a missing persons, and I've made a video in regards to the missing lady T right finger, and her mother made a comment on the video, which happens quite a bit. I get quite a few comments from family members of some of the videos, or the people featured in the videos that I make, tragically the victims, sometimes the perpetrators, the scumbags, the murderers, family members and friends, colleagues, people that know them comment, and it's really touching. And the mother of this missing lady here, T right finger, she commented on a missing persons report that I've made. So I've kept half an eye on this case, and time's going on, and unfortunately they've not found her. There's been a really big search for this lady. Her name is T right finger, 19 years of age. She's gone missing from Richmond in Queensland, Australia. T right finger, and here's a picture of her vehicle, the vehicle that she was believed to have been in, a Toyota Prado 2013 with Queensland registration 210-TLA, and she was last missing nearly 2 weeks ago now. Sorry, more than 2 weeks ago now. Last seen around 3 p.m. Sunday, October the 16th, in Colebrook Road, Richmond. She was dropped off by a friend at the four-wheel drive that she'd been driving, and she hasn't been seen since. So there has been a very thorough search and rescue operation to help find T right finger. And I've got to say, as far as I understand, in Australia, they are very, very good. They're really excellent in their search teams, their search and rescue teams. A number of cases that I've covered, that I've seen through, they really do go gung ho. There's hundreds of officers, state emergency services, volunteers. They go to a lot of effort. They've got a lot of technology, drones, helicopters. They really, really do put in a very big effort to find missing persons. And unfortunately, so far, they've not made any real progress in regards to T right finger, which I guess is going to be just like, such. I'm not going to be able to say the right words or think of the right words, but just an immense stress and worry and concern for those that know and love T right finger, of course, her mother. So full condolences. Well, condolences isn't the right word at this point, but of course, prayers to T right finger's family and her mother, who is no doubt beside herself. So of course, just we hope and pray that she is found safe and well. So the authorities have coordinated extensive search and rescue operations in Richmond involving state emergency services volunteers, police, landholders, and council personnel. So that's local residents of the Richmond area checking their properties. Perhaps they've got some acreage, doing what they can just to find any clues. Aerial assets involved in the search included QG air fixed wing and rotary aircraft, helicopters, I believe, as well as locally contracted mustering helicopters. Surface assets included numerous all-terrain vehicles searching scrub and bushland, as well as grid foot searches. So yeah, the authorities seemingly have done a very thorough job in searching for T. Right Finger. We've got a short description. She's 19 years of age. She's described as Caucasian, as white, approximately 180 centimeters tall. So that's quite tall, isn't it, Mark? That's what, 6'1", 6'1" or so, with a medium build and blondish light brown hair. So there's her vehicle. This is her exact vehicle. There's the number plate 210 TLA, Queensland, a Toyota Prado, blue. And there's a picture of her. So we'll see if we can get a better picture. Yeah, so I do like going through these missing persons cases. I don't know, it like all of the cases that I go through, pretty much all of them, they just seem worthwhile. They seem valuable. It seems like the right thing to do to cover these topics. And as I say, T. Right Finger's mother has made a comment, thanking me for the video, because just in case it spreads awareness in the right direction, just in case somebody gets prompted, they're able to come forward with a little bit of information that could lead to the recovery of the missing person in question. And here is T. Right Finger, 19 years of age. She has a TikTok channel. And I believe, am I right? I'm going by memory. I think she's made some posts where it kind of hints at some domestic issues. I'm going to say this. I don't wish to mean to be disparaging, and I'm going by memory, but I think, yeah, here we go. There was one troubling clip on TikTok which showed T's face bruised and bloodied after a toxic incident. A toxic incident. I believe, again, I'm going by memory. I believe that's with in relation to her boyfriend. There's a picture of her, bloodied, bruised and bloodied. Yeah, so I mean, seemingly there was some troubles, and I believe, hopefully, I've got this correct. Hopefully, I'm not saying the wrong thing, but I believe it's intimated that she suffered these bruises at the hands of her boyfriend. I may have that wrong. If I do have that wrong, apologies. I'm kind of going by memory. I read through this article, a while back now. There she is, 19 years of age. And there's the mother, Tracy Wright. So we're going to pray alongside you, Tracy, okay? So we hope she is found alive and well, safe and well, and that she comes home. And just stay strong in the meantime. So she seems like quite the character by the look of it. So we do hope and pray that she does come home safe and well. She's able to reunite with her family. And we'll keep an eye out, Tracy, for any other updates that come on. So we're happy to, post, carry on posting in regards to T. So yeah, hope and prayers. So we'll move on to the next subject. We'll just do a quick check in with chat. Thanks for being here, guys. By the way, Mark, I've known for quite a while now. Really, I mean, like perhaps 3 years, something like that. 2 years at least. Mark's, yeah, probably 3 years, or maybe even more. Mark's a good homeboy. He's single. He's got money. He's going to the gym. He's in Illinois. He's got his own home, I believe. He's got money. I'm telling you, he's got money. He's retired, and he's single, and he's buff. Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. Give a homeboy a chance. Come on. Um, Please return safe. Yes, for tea. Yes, absolutely. Um, I can promote yourself, Donna, too. If you're on the hunt for a guy, we can try to pimp you out too, if you like. Just let me know. Um, so you know what? I'm not going to go through. I've got a few more articles that I was going to go through, but I'm not going to. But what I will do is just to go through a couple of more heart lifting articles, and then I'll wrap things up. You know what? I'm going to go through. I'll mention this one fairly quickly, and then I'll go through a couple more heartwarming ones just to cheer us up a little bit, and then I'll close up over the next 10 minutes or so. And as I say, I'm thinking about trying to do these live streams every day. I don't know if that's, or every evening for me. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, and I don't know if I'll stick to that or not. But that's kind of what I'm thinking, and we'll just see. But so I'm just going to go through a couple more. This one's another missing persons from Queensland, Burpengary, a 17-year-old boy. We're not told his name. Oh, yeah, no, we're not told his name. He was last seen on Matthew Crescent around 11 p.m. Saturday, October the 29th. So that's 3 days ago now. So I've checked for an update. This hasn't been updated. This is on the mypolice.queensland.gov.au website, and I have to applaud these guys. They are excellent in regards to updates. This website, they are very good. So if he was to be found, it would tell us that. And unfortunately, it's not telling us that at this moment in time. But hopefully that changes. Hopefully, this young man is, has returned already, safe and well. But as far as we know, he was last seen on Matthew Crescent around 11 p.m. Saturday, October the 29th. Police believe that he may be using the rail network. He's previously used trains to travel to Brisbane CBD, as well as north side suburbs and shopping centres such as North Lakes. So he goes on the trains quite a bit to get around here and there. Brisbane CBD, north side suburbs, North Lakes area. But he was last seen on Matthew Crescent in Burpengary. We got a short description. The boy, again, we're not told his name, just to protect his privacy and security. And by the way, I'm happy to delete this part of the live stream if he is found. If any family members or friends or anyone like that, if you guys do happen to catch this, and if you guys want me to delete this part of the video, I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, I mean, if I just feel that if a missing person is found, especially if they're a younger person, there's no real need to have the report online, really. So I think deleting the videos is a good thing. But we have a description. He's described as Caucasian, so white, with a solid build, fairly buff, I think is what it means. Black hair, brown eyes, around 170 centimeters tall. So that's 5'8", 5'8", 5'9", 5'9". He was last seen wearing a black hooded jumper with red strings. So like this top here, by the look of it, a black hooded jumper with red drawstrings, blue pants. He may be traveling with a dark blue backpack, which could be this one. It looks purple here, but that could just be the imagery. So this looks like he was caught on CCTV at a train station. So this, I would guess, is a very recent photo, would be my guess. I don't know that for sure. Apparently, he does have ongoing medical conditions that require medication, and he may have challenges communicating with strangers. So that could indicate that he's, has a little bit of social anxiety or whatever it happens to be, shyness, whatever it happens to be. So look, we hope this guy gets home. Here it is. We can see the black hoodie with the red drawstrings there, slightly better coloring. So we hope this guy finds his way home safe and well. If anyone's in the area, if you're able to print out posters, that would be great. I think I'll probably do a standalone video in regards to this young man tomorrow. So we'll move on from there. But of course, prayers to the family who are going to be beside themselves, and let's just hope that this young guy find his way home soon enough. Thanks. Okay. Mark sounds like a catch, doesn't he? Yeah, he does, doesn't he? I'm telling you, he is a catch. Okay, so I'm gonna go over a couple of nice, pleasant topics, and then I'm gonna wrap things up for the day, for the night. So Jorge, I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Maybe I'm not. Jorge, rather, Jojo Morales has been found in Canada 2 months after vanishing. So I've covered Jojo. I have a Twitter account, which is at True Crime Updat, and I have 2,960 followers. I'm extremely popular, as you know, Mark, and I've been, a lot of people have been following this case of Jojo Morales, Jorge, 6-year-old boy, and he's been found in Canada. He's not from Canada. So we're going to go through part of the details here. He was reported missing August 27th by his mother after his father failed to return him. So there's a custody dispute, and the father had the right to visit with the boy, Jojo, but he did a runner. He took Jojo. And I believe the grandmother, Lillian Piena Morales, was also involved. So it seemed that the father and the grandmother ran off with Jojo. From Miami, Florida, and they've been found. He's been found in Canada. So that's great. He's safe and well. I believe he's back with his mother. I believe, hopefully. The father and grandmother have been taken into custody. They've been arrested without incident. We're not really given too many details other than that, but this is great news. Jorge Jojo Morales has been found safe and well in Canada with his father, with his grandmother. I guess there's some blessing that he would have been looked after. I expect 10K subscribers soon, Picker. Yes, so do I, Mark. So do I. If I work at it, I'll definitely get more subs. I mean, it's kind of obvious to say that, but yeah, like if I put the effort in to make videos, I will grow the channel. And I'm thinking if I put effort in to make more videos and do live streams, booyah, 10K, here we come. That's my theory. So as moderators, you're obligated to ensure that happens. All right, Donna, that's right. Yes, I do deserve it. Yeah. I would like to have things enjoyable though, and I think maybe that can be done because, like, right now having a little bit of a joke, a little bit of a laugh, talking about very dark subjects. But I'm good at being fun, aren't I, Mark? I'm a very light-hearted person. I'm good at being playful and, pardon my French, fucking around. I understand the assignment. Yes, good, Donna. Right, I will be making notes. Um, yeah, so if I can mix in these very dark topics, which they do draw you in. They are interesting. They're interesting is not the best word, but they are interesting. They are compelling. That's a better word. They're compelling, and they're also important, and they also deserve coverage from anyone and everyone. Whoever's able and willing to talk about these subjects, not milk them. I'm not going to be doing the whole Summer Wales thing for making videos about the one case endlessly to try to milk a subject and to garner um what is it, super chats, and pull on people's heartstrings about a given topic. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to do any of that seedy stuff. Well, maybe a little bit of seedy stuff, but not too much. Anyway, so there's Jojo Morales. Well done. So yeah, I was going to say that I guess it's a blessing that he was with his father and his grandmother. So at least he would have been looked after, I would presume. Not necessarily, but I believe that would be the case. That he was with people that loved him very much and would have been looking after him. Not that that justifies what they did. They did kidnap him. They took him away from his mother. So that is terrible, but at least the silver lining is that presumably he was well cared for and well loved throughout the whole situation. So I guess that's a blessing. So I'm just going to go through this final one, and then I'm going to call it a day. But I feel energized to come back and do this once more tomorrow. I've not read through this one, so we'll have a look through this together. A heroic 9-year-old girl has shared the moment that she saved her 11-month-old baby brother after they were kidnapped by a carjacker in Las Vegas. A 9-year-old girl saved her 11-month-old baby brother. So the young lady in question is called Nyla Prentice. Nyla Prentice, and the brother is 11-month-old. He's called King, and they were kidnapped from their mother's car, a Dodge SUV, on October the 25th, after a carjacker took off in the vehicle. After a carjacker took off in the vehicle. Nyla was in the back seat with her brother, whilst the mom stepped inside to use an ATM. All right, let me do that. Let me just refresh because that's kind of stuffed up, hasn't it? Technical errors, these things happen. I didn't get a notification. Well, why not, Donna? Why not? Yeah, I did post a I scheduled it for like half an hour before I started. Did you get a notification, Mark? Yeah, how scary. Nyla Prentice. So the mother went to the store to use the ATM, and Nyla says this boy was looking at her in a strange way, and then he ran outside, and then he tried to open my mom's door. And then my mom came outside and she was like, "What are you doing next to my car?" When she came to the car, it unlocked. So her car unlocked, and then he got in the car and he zoomed. That's really interesting, isn't it? That's if I'm understanding that correctly, the mother walked to her car, and nowadays a modern car, many or most or perhaps even all modern cars built in the last couple of years or so. I don't really know, but the key fobs on a lot of cars automatically open the car when you get close to it, if you're within a couple of foot. So yeah, that's what's happening, isn't it? That's what these carjackers are doing. These carjackers, are walking when people are walking back to their car and then pouncing on them. Mark did receive a notification. Well, that's good, but I'm sorry you didn't get a notification, Donna. I apologize. I shall do my best to ensure you are adequately notified in the future. So Nyla, the 9-year-old, here she is. Sorry, is that her name? Yes, it is, Nyla. I didn't want to put my hands on him because he was driving fast and I didn't want to die. The family's stolen vehicle was spotted and led to a pursuit before the carjacker crashed into another vehicle and totaled the car. Oh my God. There's the scumbag, carjacker, Mario Estrada, 38 years of age, kidnapper and carjacker. There was a high-speed car chase, and the vehicle collided with another vehicle. So I think that's the other vehicle that it collided into. Estrada fled the scene with the two kids at high speed. Meanwhile, Nyla sat silently in the back seat, thinking about what to say. Here's a quote from Nyla, the 9-year-old girl who's been described as a hero for saving her 11-month-old baby brother, rather. So Nyla says, I was like, please, sir, let us out of the car. I ain't got nothing to do with this. Please just take the car and let us go. Oh, such brave words from a 9-year-old. The scumbag carjacker pulled over and instructed the kids to get out of the car. And Nyla says, the only thing I was worried about was my little brother. I tried to grab my shoes. He didn't let me. He was like, here, get out. So I grabbed his binky and me and him ran. So she made sure she got out of the car. You know, she did the right thing. Please, sir, let us out of the car. I ain't got nothing to do with this. Please just take the car and let us go. What a brave girl. What a very, very clever girl. And thankfully, there she is. We'll come back to that section in a moment. But thankfully, this scumbag, I'm going to say there's a blessing. He did the right thing, didn't he? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to condone carjacking. I'm not condoning carjacking, obviously. But thankfully, he did the right thing in stopping the car and letting Nyla out with her 11-month-old baby brother. So thankfully, I've got to give the guy some credit for that. He's got to get some credit for that because we hear too many stories of too many psychos doing the absolute worst, and that hasn't happened in this case. Some credit, not a great deal of credit. He's a carjacker. He put 2 children's lives and more at risk. But some credit. Again, here's Nyla. Yeah, Mark says, smart 9-year-old. Very much a smart 9-year-old. Smart, calm. Very good, very good. The 9-year-old said that Estrada, the carjacker, looked at her before entering the vehicle. She has been traumatized and she's been unable to sleep since the incident. You know what? Maybe I need to take some of that credit back a little bit, Donna, because he knew the children were in the car. What was he thinking? Maybe he was thinking the worst. And then maybe he had a moment of, I don't know, clarity. Okay, so there is a GoFundMe to help the family get a new car. There is a GoFundMe here. I'm not going to be posting the link in the description. They've got $9,000 from a $25,000 goal. And it's from the family, from the grandmother, and the grandmother is saying that, of course, they're very grateful that everyone's safe. So the two children, as well as the mother. The reason for the GoFundMe is because the mother's lost her vehicle and she's unable to work right now due to being injured whilst running behind the truck trying to save her kids. Yeah. Wow. She's got 5 kids, 13 years, 12, 9, 5, and 11 months. So there we go. So she doesn't have a car and she's not able to work. She's got 5 kids. So they're asking for a little bit of financial help. One of the granddaughters has a kidney disease. Is that Nyla? Yeah, seemingly this is Nyla. My granddaughter has a kidney disease, FSGS nephrotic syndrome, and after running in fear, she is now having pain and nightmares, telling her mother she did not want her or her brother to die. She has not left her mother's side and has trouble sleeping. She will need counseling, and the other kids have been affected also. They are also scared. Yeah, it's terrible. All right, so prayers for the family and prayers for Nyla in particular. Donna, are you tearing up? Mark, are you tearing up? One of you are. I know one of you are. All right, there you go. So look, there's the happy story. Wasn't that happy, really, was it? I should have done this one first and then Jojo, because Jojo is the happy story. Let's just focus on Jojo again for a moment. So I'm gonna wrap things up at this point. Heartbroke. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Mine too, Donna. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna have to be sponsored by Kleenex or something. Not, not for the reasons you might be thinking, Mark, but some tissue company should sponsor me. All right, guys. Look, thanks for being here. I really do appreciate you guys being here. Like it, I made it. It gets really awkward when absolutely no one's here. And right, I'll say this: a lot of live streams, they have hundreds of people watching, or even thousands, or even tens of thousands of people watching. But I don't know. There's something comforting about just having a few people, and you're just having a conversation with people, and I don't expect people to come in every time, or indeed stay for the whole time, because it's quite a time, an hour and a half. Everyone's got things to do, and obviously you guys are enthralled by everything that I have to say, but I understand that. But even so, there are other things to do, and these topics get to us all, don't they, Mark? Yes. So look, thank you, and if anyone listens to this after the fact, thank you very much. And yeah, I am going to be trying to do a live stream every day, or rather every evening my time, which is going to be dreadful times for those in the United States, but it's going to be good enough times for those in Australia and the UK, I believe. And I might play around with that, but anyway, maybe you just want to listen after the fact. But enough from me. Thanks, guys. Take care, and I'll speak with you both and everyone else soon. Thank you.